Right, hello team. Welcome to another Atomic Cards Middle Earth strategy battle game video. It's Tom here. Hi. I have with me today Curtis. Curtis, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you had for dinner, and if you've got anything to plug while you're here. Go.
Hi guys, I'm Curtis. I play MESBG in the London community, part of the LWG, hosting a tournament next month. So if you're keen, get in touch. There are few tickets potentially available as people drop out, but yeah, please get in touch. I had a sweet corn curry for dinner, and it was leftovers from it the night before, and it was absolutely banging.
Fantastic. I forgot to say I had a pork casserole with some leftover pork from Sunday night. So yeah, that was also delicious. And my things to plug are Atomic Cards. Just all of it. Facebook, Instagram, shop, all of those things. Do them now.
Bye. Christmas is coming.
And YouTube. We're on that too.
But say kind of self-explanatory. Hi, I'm
Zahir. What's your name? What do you have for dinner? And can you plug something, please?
I'm Zahir. I had all of the meat that you could ever eat for dinner.
So we've just lost every vegetarian viewer ever.
I know I'm probably gonna, but that's just me. I'm unapologetically me. I had some salad too. I am a terrain builder. I've got Instagram, which is Zahir Curtis Designs, which Tom posted in the last video, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you. And hopefully I'm going to be making some terrain for his channel soon.
Nice, cool. So today, if you didn't know, we had a tournament on Sunday, sorry. Days are hard. If you didn't know, you've been living under a rock because we've put it everywhere. I have been sharing everything about it.
The pictures from it look really, really good. I was slightly jealous seeing those and watching through all the images.
And I had major FOMO.
Yeah.
Well, we've got another one coming up in January, which has got GBHL status as well. So tickets haven't gone on sale for that one yet. So find it on Facebook and yeah, we'll get involved. So we did that. Before the event, the three of us came together and did a little video talking about some of the lists that are going, making some predictions for the event and who was going to do well and who was not going to do well. And now we're here to talk to you all about how wrong we were.
All right,
you never know. And then just could generally talk about the top 5 lists that finished the event. Go into a little bit more detail about how they worked, because I sat and watched a lot of the top games as the tournament organizer. So before we get started, predictions from the last video. Curtis, who did you put as your top 3? Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember. So I predicted the King LSR list, the Minas Tirith with the small warband rangers.
Okay.
I predicted Legacy Scouts
to
do well, and I put the Defenders of Helm's Deep.
Okay. I put the Defenders of Helm's Deep as my top seed. I put one of the scout lists. I wasn't very specific, but up there. And I can't actually remember what I put third.
You put one of the Azog's Legions.
Okay. Yeah. Valid. Cool. And Zahir, what did you put? If you can't remember, don't worry, Curtis will tell you.
I think I put Defenders, Arnor, and the Berserkers Legendary Legion, just the Assault on Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
Because I love it. It was just inspired and a bit of me.
Fair enough. Nice. So yeah, mixed reviews on that. We were trying to be objective with the list of things because obviously I know a lot of the players as well, quite personally. So I could have just based it entirely off of the people who were taking the lists, but I was trying to do it on lists on paper. Because obviously we've got a wide range at the tournament. Of people who've
Zahir and I have gone completely on the list.
Yeah. Nice. So if we picked your list and you got up there, that means you're good. Good job. If we picked your list and you didn't get up there, do better. Jamie. So he loves it. Honorable mentions then before we get started. So we had 2 Pits of Doggledore Legendary Legions and a Mirkwood Rangers Legendary Legion at the event. None of them made it into the top 5. But I think matchups and things played into that quite a lot. So the final standings wise, first things first, the 2 Pits of Doggledore Legendary Legions, and they won't mind me saying this, were both piloted by people who are very new to the game. So
sometimes that can be the difference, can't it? I think knowing a list, and I think there's been a lot of chat at the minute in the GBHL about, I think the winner at Scarring of Cheshire was a sort of a mixed arms Mordor Isengard list, and people were like, oh, anyone can win. Big debate on the Facebook about whether, there are lists or there are bad matchups, or is it all player skill? And I think what the consensus is that they're all factors, but understanding your list, knowing what it does well, and knowing how to respond as like plan Bs is really, really important. So sometimes experience does count for a lot.
So these guys are both, the 2 at Pits of Doggledore are both new players to the game and using a new list. So take that with a pinch of salt as we go into it. And the very first thing that happened was they both got paired against each other round 1 in the matchups. So that didn't really help either, because it means you basically guaranteed a loss. Interestingly, one Azog killed the other, but that Azog actually lost the game because it was on Caesar Prize. He got distracted a little bit by killing Azog, while the other chap ran off the board with a Warg with Relic.
I suppose it's mad. Azog's killing Azogs on 3s, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just slammed into each other and beat each other up.
It's just whoever wins roll-offs, isn't it?
It is a strike roll-off, yeah, pretty much. So that didn't help them. So then one went up, one went down. The one that went up then got to play something else, which I believe he lost to. But I cannot remember for the life of me. I've really prepared this. He lost his next game, which was the next game. So the first one was Caesar Prize, second one was to death, and he lost that 7-3. Who won that 7-3? This one down here. Who's that? That's the minister. Yes, of course it was. Yeah, the ministerial list of Elisar.
That's a hard match up there.
Elisar was more like to win the fights, but Azog was more like to kill if he won. Was basically the vibe. And then the guys in the Elisar list was like, he's played a lot. He may not have played a lot well, as he reminded me on the day when I got there, but he's played a lot. So he knew what he was doing, and I think he did some sneaky little like heroic combats and some heroic strikes and things and just little stuff like that. So then he went back down. Then he was playing against Harad, which had a bajillion bows and just absolutely ripped.
Achilles heel, isn't it, of that list? It's just you can get off the board very easily.
Absolutely rinsed him. And then his final game, he won. And I can't remember who he was playing in his final game. Where is he? Somewhere. There. Sorry. He won his final game 12-0.
Ooh,
huge. He's learned how to play the list. It's experience.
Yeah. Who did he beat at? I think it was against Rivendell Knights. Oh. Yes, it was. It was against Rivendell Knights because it was on Maelstrom, and the Rivendell Knights got F'd over by Maelstrom.
Oh, really? I thought Rivendell Knights would be fairly strong in that list if they could kite them and pick them off.
I believe Rivendell Knights went on first. Azog came in behind them, went, I am Azog, I move first, charged all the Rivendell Knights and trapped them and killed them.
That's the great way to play it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's perfect. That's the only way you could do that.
So he ended up 2-2, which is, pretty solid. Bearing in mind, this is his first Middle-earth tournament.
Oh, that's amazing. I think
Rob.
Yeah, Rob, yeah.
Nice guy. He won most sporting, didn't he? Or he got
tied back for both sporting, yeah.
Yeah, really. I met him once. Really, really nice guy.
he did that 2-0, and his losses were against Bowspan, which is the clear weakness of that list, and then LSR, who is just better than Azog.
I think the thing is, it depends. Like if your deployment is like right across from each other, or you're like halfway up the board, this just excels because you just go, you have no chance of shooting me. I'm already in combat now, especially good versus evil. Good can't shoot into combat. So once you're in, you're not going to get shot.
He had LSR on to the death. Yeah, which is
LSR's got some ranges in that list. Amble with the free
angles, free might was scary.
If that was me, I'd just be firing it all into Azog, get the fate points off of it.
Yeah, of course.
And then he had on breakthrough, which is a 24-inch deployment against a Harad list, but Harad list parked right at the back of the table, basically. And he just couldn't get across. He just got shot to pieces. I think that only ended like 2-0 as a loss. Because none of them were on any objectives at the end.
Game was finished before the
literally killed him. Just killed him. But the other list lost in the first game to Azog. It then, I believe, beat Ugluk Scouts to the death. Where is he, Mark? No, he lost to whatever he played second. In fact, he lost most of his games, bless him. He lost all 3 of his games until he got to the end, where he won, put a big 12-0 spanking down, because he was getting the hang of it. Basically.
I think the thing is, this list is quite hard to sort of pilot, isn't it? To start with, they've had a few games and just get your head around it, and then
I think anything with low defense that needs to be in combat is tough to pilot, because it feels counterintuitive. Something like the Return of the King Legendary Legion, where your whole army can be defense 8, or Army of Thror, spoilers, they can all be really, really high defense. Something like that, where you want to get them in combat, they're not dying very quickly. It's easier to learn the game that way, where you're not losing models straight away. Super glassy. I think Harad is very similar. Unless you're playing that sort of sit back and shoot sort of way. Using them in combat can be quite demoralizing for a new player if they don't use it smartly.
I think like Mirkwood and like dwarves are very good for starting out, because you've got solid, decent troops, but they're high defense, so you can like learn maneuverability and stuff like that. And then once you sort of picked up a bit, but I mean, like the thing is, they still managed to win 2 games and lose 2 games. I mean,
win 1 game.
Always go into tournaments saying 50-50. I'm happy. I think that's great.
This one 1-1, the other one 1-2.
So they're both beginners. Just don't get disheartened. Keep going, and play again. It'll be awesome.
The one that did better, just in case anyone's curious, so that was Azog on his White Warg, 1 Hunter Orc with on a Warg with a 2-handed pick, 2 Fell Wargs, and 4 Hunter Orcs on Wargs, all in 1 warband. So all his mounted stuff's in 1 warband. And then a Gundabad captain with shield, a Gundabad with a banner and a shield, 2 Gundalads with shields, 4 Gundalads with spear and shields, 1 Hunter Orc with a 2-handed pick, and 4 Hunter Orcs on foot.
So that's the Azog Legion that I preferred, because it had more balance. That's the one with the bows, right?
No.
Oh, no bows.
No, this is we all preferred the other one.
Yeah.
When we talked about it, but this one did better. Whether or not that's the list or the pilot, we don't know. And we could be wrong, but yeah.
What do you mean? We got wrong.
I did say in that first video, I do think at 500 points, the both lists felt like they weren't finished. They needed something extra. Whether it's 600 points, 650. And I wonder, maybe in matchups they struggled in that sense. They didn't have that balance that
both of them got shredded by shooting. And you've
got
both of them had a good
return, not very little to offer shooting back.
You look at it and you go, the Pits of Doggador list. The ways to deal with shooting are to either be really fast and put everything on Wargs, which can be fun. Probably won't do that great at some scenarios.
But then you would usually take Azog's Hunters then, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If you're going to improve shooting value and all the juicy stuff that gives.
But then that one turn I go first.
Yeah, true.
Could be super, super handy. Like,
Yeah.
if you think about it, you get an Azog and a Hunter Orc captain, and then a bunch of Hunter Orcs and Wargs. You get your charge off because you play it right, so you charge the first time when you don't have priority, and then the next turn you do have priority, and you can charge again. So you got 2 turns of your charge bonuses.
Yeah.
If you play it right, half their army's dead. If you play it wrong, you're dead. So you know, it's one of those.
I still prefer the alliance between Azog's Legion and Azog's Hunters, where you get Azog with the Master of Battle, a bunch of Gunter lads, and then a second warband which has, say, Thimble or Thumper, and then a bunch of Hunter Orcs who have got the improved shooting. Because it's Green Alliance, you're getting all your army bonuses, you get the best out of Azog, you get the best out of the range, and it's just a nicely balanced list.
Speaking to both of them throughout the day, the big thing that they missed was Master of Battle.
Yeah.
They didn't miss it because they didn't really know they had it in the first place because they haven't played that enough games. But I was watching them and it was things like people were calling strikes, and then as I was like, oh, I've got to use my might to do strikes, and people call it moves and you've got to copy the moves, and you don't realize how much Master of Battle actually gives you back.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing is, I think that the 6 might, when you're not using heroic combats, because that's what you want to be calling with Azog, because you can just munch through things. Actually, having 6 might is not something to laugh at, but like turn your nose up at, because at 500 points, your opponent's probably going to have 6 might max, and then you've got your hero.
The average for this tournament was 6 might.
Yeah, and then you think you've got your secondary hero who's got an extra 2.
Yeah.
Or if you take Keeper of the Dungeons, you got an extra 3.
Yeah.
So, you know, and which I think is, again, something that you should take, because it's a just complete glass cannon, but your whole army is. So
the Keeper of Dungeons, I think, has a place purely because he has strike.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, Azog's your only one with strike, and like we just said, you want it to be doing heroic combats to munch through troops. But if he's doing that, the opponent's striking heroes are either going to come into him and he's going to have to not use that heroic combat, or they're going to go into your captain, strike up, kill your captain, done. So
that's what you need to remember to use Azog for in this force, is to take out the cheaper heroes, and then you know, first, because if they go get taken off the board with 2 might and like stuff, you'll just win, you know, because you've got that extra might, and just use his might to win that.
Good. That was a good, quick, honourable mention. Well done.
Do we ever get through anything fast?
I bet you can't wait for the serious deep dives. So the other one was the Mirkwood Rangers that we wanted to quickly cover. This was Ryan from Cardiff. He is an experienced tournament player. He goes to lots of GBHL events and does quite well at a lot of GBHL events. But this was his first time using the list, and his first time using anything like it. He normally runs like Rohan and Moria. So all bows, very low defense. Skirmishing wasn't really like his kind of thing. Normally it's like Cave Drakes and Theoden. And it's my list that he was using. So what he had was Legolas and Tariel, each with 10 Mirkwood Rangers. And then Legolas also had a Sentinel.
Nice.
You're a little bit under 500 points. If it was like 497 or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's around then. You can't do anything about it because it's the Mirkwood Rangers. They're like 14 points each. It's done.
Not easy
so he ended up 2-2 at the event.
Not bad.
No, he didn't. That's a lie. It's a complete and utter lie. I'm sorry.
Lie.
He had 1 win, 2 draws, and a loss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he drew a lot.
I think the thing is with this army, you can't really it's only got one thing. You can't sort of it's not very versatile, is it? You can't really sort of hold loads of objectives and stuff, because you will die if you try and get into combat. Yeah. And you're just peppering your opponent with arrows, aren't you, the whole game?
So he drew Seized a Prize because he broke a leader kill. Yeah. But they had the relic.
So he shot them off the board, but they got into the middle and took the relic.
And then he drew on to the death because he did. No, wait, he drew on Seized a Prize and he won to the death because he shot them to
Well, I was about to say,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the perfect scenario.
Drew won, lost on breakthrough because he just couldn't
hold the objectives.
Couldn't kill enough, couldn't hold the objectives. Yeah. He had to deploy quite far back and be defensive and try and shoot them off, and they just kind of stuck on the middle, went, cool, go on in. And then he drew the final game, which is hold ground.
He's done well to draw that. It's a tough one for Mirkwood Rangers. Maelstrom, yeah, they're shooting into the middle, but they've got to time it right when they come into the middle to make sure that they've got the numbers superiority before the game ends. So, you know.
That was against the Assault on Helm's Deep Pledge region.
Okay.
Not the one with the Berserkers. So I think that basically came down to hanging out in the middle and scrapping around, but the elves have got the higher fights, so they're winning more fights, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's fairly how we expected them to do, isn't it, really? They won at killing stuff. They struggled to hold objectives. It's a fairly solid list, but I don't think we'll see them winning any tournaments, but they can compete at the very least. And with a little bit more practice, you could definitely grind out a couple more wins with them.
So the nerves were that this was going to be the new Rangers of Athelion. I mean, I'm that Rangers of Athelion isn't as OP as people say it is, but you know, I've been proven wrong. Or at least it was as OP. Did he feel this was the new Rangers of Athelion, or could he just not quite get the numbers?
No, and I've used them quite a bit. And so at 400, this was a 500 point tournament. At 500 points, if I was using Rangers of Athelion, I have 30 plus Rangers.
Right.
Not anymore.
Well, no, this is what I'm saying. Like the old Rangers of Athelion had 30 plus Rangers, plus all your heroes, plus Faramir's on a horse, so you can run around and do stuff. You can also get a banner in there.
Yeah.
And you've got Madril who messes with the Maelstrom stuff as well. Then you've got the nuke heroes who can give you you've got the free might on Angborn, or you can have your Stalk Unseen one, so you win all your shoot-offs with elves if you ever get in that situation. Whereas this is more, we're just going to shoot you. They're almost twice as expensive per dude as the Ranger of Athelion. Because the Ranger of Athelion are 9 points.
9 points.
9 points. So 8 points face and 14 points from Mirkwood Ranger.
Ridiculous.
What he did say, which is also what I found a couple of games I've used him, is that the shielding is really important.
Yeah.
So that he was doing an awful lot of the shielding on hold ground. So he got himself onto the thing and then just shielded. Because fight 5, shielding. You might be strength 4 Uruks, but I'm going to shield and win the fight. Basically. So yeah, that's basically how that went for him, I think. They're not going to be terrorizing tournaments, but the existence of them at a tournament could be quite interesting to see, because you have to kind of prepare for, 21, 22, 25 elf bow shots coming at you at 500 points. If you're not ready for it, you will die.
Yeah.
So I think something like that is good to have in the meta, but just not winning the meta constantly.
Yeah.
I think
partly for gaming experience. That's why you don't want it to keep winning tournaments. Otherwise, everyone's bringing it and no one's having fun.
No.
But it's nice to know that it's not dominating, but it's nice, I suppose, to know it exists. And did the fun rule of being able to get the potential save by being near a tree, did that come into play?
I think he only played with trees like once or twice. And I can't remember him saying that was amazing, that was exciting. Having a tree rule was great. He didn't really mention it. He might have forgotten about it. I know he forgot to reroll ones at least one game in his combats, but we'll see. Right. Honorable mentions done.
The meat.
Onto the stuff we're actually here
and gritty. So 5th place at the tournament. Spoilers, if you haven't watched the other video, go watch that first, because that'll tell you who won and stuff. And talk about the lads. So Daniel, Liam, and Jamie, all of our local guys who've been on the channel a few times. They all came and chatted about how they did. So go watch that first if you haven't. Then come back. All right, so I'm sure everyone who's come back now has watched the other video. Cool. So this is 5th place. 5th place was Benjamin Meredith Davis with his Fiefdoms list. Now, I love the Fiefdoms.
I was about to say your favourite.
They are my favourite. And I wasn't in love with this list. But he's proven me a little bit wrong here. The other thing that's worth mentioning that we need to note is Ben rode the top table for most of the tournament, which is always significant. Until
your video, it was only the last game, right, that he lost?
Yeah. So he's free. Anyone from here up is 3-1. And he lost to the eventual winner. So he had a good time, which is quite nice. But yeah, so little key points. 3-1. He scored 20 VPs over his 3 wins, those games rather, and he conceded 18. He only had a VP diff of 2.
But 12 of those were the last game where he scored.
Yeah, 12 of those conceded were the last game. So
Okay.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
So he played against on his way to the peak. He played against Ugluk Scouts on Caesar Prize.
That's impressive. Did he win that?
He did win that, yes.
Oh, that's
I
good.
believe what that came down to was the Ugluk Scouts player accidentally leaving the relic exposed on an Uruk, and someone big like Imrahil got into him and killed it and stole a relic.
Even a lance, within 3 inches of Imrahil could easily do that. Especially a list which doesn't have loads of big heroes that can back them up. They're going to be. This was the Uruk Scouts. This was Charles, who's been he plays on SW miniatures quite a bit. He has said afterwards, he's one of our local lads, but he really struggles with big heroes like Imrahil, and trying to take down someone like Imrahil is hard for him at the moment. With his Ugluk Scouts, he hasn't quite worked out the knack, because there is a knack to it. I've lost Aragorns and things to Ugluk Scouts. They're pretty spicy if they can, but
the strength 5 patterns are just juicy.
Yeah, basically. He then beat on to the death. He beat the Rivendell Knights onto the death. I believe this was because I watched this exact moment happen. The Rivendell Knights took one shooting phase of Dwin here, heroic shooting into them with he had like 10 Black Reveal archers, and he went, nah, F that, I'm charging.
Yeah. It took one. If you lose a few horses, you're a bit like, don't have many of these horses.
He got shredded because it's Dwin here in 10 Black Reveal, I think, in this list. I should probably read the list out at some point. We'll do it at the end of this little chat. So Dwin here in like 10 Black Reveal archers, so it's a lot of shots. They're rerolling ones hit on freeze and then rerolling all their wounds on the once Dwin hits calling that heroic shoot, and then obviously shooting before the Rivendell Knights do, so you're dropping them down before they get a chance to shoot back. And he kept them all in cover sensibly, so they all had like in the ways to shoot them against, things like that. So he positioned them quite nicely, and then the Rivendell Knights got choked up on the pike wall basically because they charged a fight 5 pike wall, and your elves are fight 5.
I think that's the only problem with this, isn't it? It's very small. And once you come up against fight 5 models, you're not even out fighting them. You could win more often, but
I don't believe the Lancers. I don't think they're Elven made either.
Oh, okay.
Are they not? So they're not.
I think they're just Lancers. I think they've only got an Elven made sword. I think it's something like that, because the only one, like, all their spears are just spears, but Aglos is an Elven made spear.
Right.
Yeah.
It's something like that. So he wouldn't have got the winning the roll on freeze either. So it's a tough list for the Rivendell Knights to go up against, basically. And then he went on to play against my Riders of Fairden list that I chucked in. So we had a last minute dropout. So there was a local lad who had literally played one game of Middle Earth ever. He's got the Penalty Fields box. So I threw him a Riders of Fairden list and said, here, use this. He actually ended up on top table. He smashed his first 2 games. I think people were really helping him out quite a lot because he was, it must have been, bless him, which is really nice to see. But he ended up on top table, and then he quickly fell back down off top table. But break through against Riders of Theoden. Conveniently, one of the middle objectives was like up on a hill. So he put all the Black Ravelle archers up on the hill and kind of castled on the hill. And then blockaded the others with the pike block, and they couldn't get through. You'd say potentially someone with more experience might have given him like a harder time with it, but we don't know. And he played it spot on. Found his choke points, deployed where he needed to be, and nailed it basically. And then he came up against our eventual winner, which is Lee's Dwarfs in the final game, which was on hold grounds. He moved up right into the middle. He set up a pike block kind of facing outwards and kind of said, come on in, Dwarfs. And this is where my kind of critique of his list came in. So his pike block has a front wall of Knights of Dol Amroth on foot. What it didn't have was clansmen or axemen. What that means is he's got a strength 3 front wall and he's fighting defense 8 dwarfs. So he needs 6s by 4s to wound him. That lad could not wound a dwarf to save his life. Bless him. Yeah. And it just turned into a massive war of attrition.
Yeah. I think looking at the list, I mean, it looks well constructed. He's got his pike block, which will become fight 5. He's got a nice little bit of cav for objectives / bit killing power with Imrahil, and he's got loads and loads of bow shots. So in terms of balance, fantastic. In terms of like points efficiency on numbers and what it's actually doing, looking at the lists, like clearly good plays, finished 5th this tournament. You know, the 3 absolutely stonking games, and only lost his last one. And sadly, by losing it by so much, it's dropped him down to 5th. So, you know, who am I to criticize? But when you've got the fight 5 pikes, you don't need the fight 5 front line, and you're not shielding because you've got the pikes. So maybe you could get an extra guy, an extra 2 guys, by instead of going for the 11-point knights, you go for the 8-point axemen. And like you say, you've got two potential 2-hander there as well.
So I nearly always take clansmen these days. Yeah, as my front line. So
they're quite cheap as well, right? They're 7 points, 8 points.
Eight. So you drop your knights down to clansmen, you drop them all down, you can get an extra couple of clansmen in there. And what they get is they get their wounding on, so they get +1 because they're 2-handing. And they keep the natural 6s to wound. So them or pikemen, it's kind of a bit of personal choice. I prefer the clansmen because they're more fun looking. And in my experience, if I'm using the axemen, I'm piercing striking anyway to get to strength 4, which is great, and why they're better than clansmen because they can get up to strength 4. However, they're then just the same defense as the clansmen or lower.
But then they don't get the -1, which is quite nice.
They do because it's 2-handed axe.
Oh, so if you go axe and piercing strike, you have to 2 hands.
Yeah, so if you go axe, it's 2-handed, or you can spear. Yeah, it's one of the 2. So they're both 2-handing. They get so clansmen get they don't get a -1 on the 6, but the axemen always have a -1. But they're still 2-handing and they can piercing strike. So you're more like to kill stuff with the axemen, but you're more like to win fights with the clansmen.
Yeah.
So and then the real kicker for me is that the clansmen are like courage 5, I think, off the top of my head.
Yes, they are, yeah.
So what you can also do with them is go, oh, that objective back there, you're on there, you're courage 5, thanks. You're not running away. So that's that for me, is what I would do personally, if you wanted to take this to like properly to the next level.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think I saw come up with his game, so he's only got 2. Let's read out his list. We've got this far. Let's read it out. So you have got Imrahil as his leader. With Imrahil in his warband, he's got 2 Knights of Dol Amroth on Armored Horse of Bloods. He's got 5 Knights on foot, and he's got 10 Men-at-Arms of Dol Amroth. So 5-man front line, 10 pikes. Another thing that you maybe say, efficiency-wise, I'm not sold on. I normally run slightly less pikes than I have guys at the front, just because I expect to lose at least 1 getting to combat.
Yeah.
So if I was bringing 5 guys at the front, I'd probably bring 8 pikes. But again, that's just me. Then his second warband is Dwin here. He's got 1 axeman in there, I assume because points, and because he had the model.
Yeah.
And then 10 archers, 6 of whom have spears. So yeah, 10 archers and Dwyn here. 2 knights on horse, 5 knights on foot, 10 pikes and an axeman. So there's a lot of bodies as well. That's the other thing. But you've got quite a skinny front line. Which is the other thing I've got like jotted down. So you've got 5 knights of Glamroth on foot. That's your kind of front line. Maybe chuck the axeman in there as well. So you've got a 6-man front line. But that's kind of it.
Yeah.
So even say this dwarf list was playing against him, was kind of getting this wrap around on him. And when you start getting into the pikes and things as well, you're taking them off the front, and then it all starts to kind of fall apart.
Yeah. I can understand having a couple of knights on foot, but not to have in front of your pikes, but to have them as defending the flanks of your pike block, so they can just shield and hopefully stop the wraparound and stay alive. You know.
So that is basically exactly what I use them for. When I play up to like 800 points, I put a couple of knights on foot in there so that they can shield. And also, as your clansmen start dying around them, which will inevitably happen, your knights can shield in the middle of the line, and the pikes can go off to support the pikes, and you end up with no pikes behind the clansmen, the knights on foot, but the knights on foot are just shielding, vibing, and they still keep the fight 4, fight 5. So that's what I use them for. The thing with this list is you've only got 5 might, and 2 of those might pretty much every time go on to win here.
Shoot, yeah.
Calling those heroic shots. So you end up with only 3 might. And it's fine because you don't really use it an awful lot because he's not fallen into the trap of taking lots of knights on horse. But that means Imrahil's only got his 3 might for his strikes, and he's got to call your moves, and he's got to do everything else. So I do like having a 3rd hero in there. You do lose a lot of numbers. And I'm not sure if at these low points I'd actually take Imrahil, which is highly controversial.
Ooh,
that is highly controversial. I think he just gives everyone else so many buffs that it's hard not to.
He's like an auto take.
Yeah, you start with him. It's almost like the Fiefdoms is the Legendary Legion where you have to take Imrahil. It feels like that.
Yeah, I know.
I think the thing is, like, got so many synergies and stuff. You do need all of those heroes. But I agree with you. Like, the thing is, he's a big point sink. Whereas, like, your Suladan is only 100 points on horse. Yeah. He's like the ultimate, like, Swiss Army knife. But Imrahil is very useful. But he's like, maybe what you'll have to do is you'll have to try it for us a few times and see how it goes.
I will. I'm very keen to try out Angbor, Forlong, and Dwyn here, or Angbor, a captain, and Dwyn here.
So then you've got the March.
And you've got the March, which the list also sorely needs.
Yeah.
And Angbor,
what I'd like to see, 800 points, no Imrahil, the 3 other heroes.
Nah, you're wrong.
Captain. It would struggle, would it?
Yeah, you're wrong. 800 points.
Yeah, no, only a little points.
Yeah, I'm talking
how low could you go to get those 4 heroes, not Imrahil? So a captain as well as the 3 others.
You could probably run it at 600.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing, Forlong's really expensive. He's almost 100 points on a horse. So he's also quite expensive. He's an absolute unit. But he's kind of my like. So I used to rely on him quite a lot, but I've kind of gone off him a little bit. He's an absolute weapon, but he does, like, people love to kill him because he's such a weapon. People go, Forlong, he's mine. And he struggles a little bit with that. He kind of gets ganged up and killed.
Yeah, but I personally don't think a Fiefdoms list is works without Imrahil. I think I'd love to see it. Get it on the channel.
Yeah,
but I agree. I think a Fiefdoms list is built around Prince Imrahil. That banner effect is just, and the fight value is just.
Angbor's got a 6-inch banner.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is that just a clan? Oh, it's to everyone. With the.
No, that is just a clansman. It doesn't get the staffing. But yeah, Angbor's got a 6-inch banner and a fearless bubble. And if you frontline a clansman anyway, he's also got strike.
You only need 3 or 1 dice.
Yeah. And you need to fish for
I'm not
96s.
sold on the clansmen personally. I find them very glassy. They're natural 6, fantastic, but It's not coming off enough for me. And yeah, a lot of evil armies at strength 4 absolutely chew through them. I was killing them on 3s with Moranans, and when I played Jamie in a friendly game, and they didn't last long.
I find that anything I put in that front line in front of Pike's dies anyway, basically, because ultimately you're trapped, you're fighting, so you're probably going to have 4 strikes minimum against them. And if you're fighting at strength 3 or strength, like if you're fighting at strength 4, that's 4 strikes needing 5. Whatever's in the front line is dead anyway. That's on a knight, it's needing 5s. Like, yeah, dead anyway. But anyway, Fiefdoms, love them to pieces. Potentially for next time, Ben, if you're watching, a couple of clansmen in that front line, and they sound
or Axemen,
but clansmen. And you can paint them, instead of painting them Scottish, you can paint them Welsh as well. Paint some like, just being Welsh dragons or something.
Red and green.
Fun. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. You can do something cool with it. Sidebar, just about Benjamin's army, he did get quite a few votes for best painted as well. It's a really lovely Fiefdoms army.
You love to see it?
You love to see it when that happens. So yeah, he was right up there on the painting scores, which are quite good. And also a lot of sporting scores. So we had like a best overall thing in there, and he was actually right up there on that. He actually came in 3rd on it. After we fixed a little mess up that we had on the day. But yeah, so we love to see that. If you can place well with an army that's also painted beautifully and you're a nice guy about it, congratulations, I love you. Cool. So next time we've got in 4th place was Ross Hughes. Ross is fairly local to us. You've probably seen him on our channel. You'll have seen him on SW Miniatures. You'll have seen him around at some tournaments and things. He's been to a few now. Ross was using his Harad list. Curtis, have you got it in front of you?
I do have it in front of me. Would you like me to read it out?
Do you want to read it out? I've read out an awful lot. I've just talked for about half an hour about Fiefdoms because I love them. And Harad are my other favourite army. So, well, behind Goblin Town. So yeah.
So you're going to talk about them in a few minutes. So you just want to break.
Yeah.
So we've got the leader. We've got a Harad King. He's got 6 Watchers of Klana in his warband, and he's got 8 warriors with spear and bow. Then we've got a Harad Chief. He's got with him 2 raiders with war spear, 3 warriors with bow, 1 warrior with spear and bow, 5 warriors with spear, and 1 warrior with spear and banner. And then we have a Harad Taskmaster, and he's got 6 Abrakan Merchant Guard, and then 6 warriors with bow and spear. So he is packing models in this army. He has got bows, he's got spears, just the depth, the versatility is there.
So Ross had the 2nd highest model count at the event. He was only 2 models below the Shire list that we had at the event. Wow. So he's packing 41 models at 500 points. He has got 18 bows in there, which is just mad. We were a little bit down on this list when we looked at it before.
We thought it was
humble pie.
Yeah. Basically, what I think we all did was there's nothing big like hero-wise in there, and completely forgot about the fact that this is 41 models, all of whom will be at Fight 4, with 18 bows.
3s, most of them.
He had an awful lot of Fight 4 kicking around, didn't he?
6. Well, he does actually, probably more than a lot of people, because he's got 12 warriors at Fight 4. The Harad Chiefs Fight 4, the Taskmaster will be Fight 4. So there's 14 models, and then the King Fight 5.
The Watchers at Fight 4, not the Warriors, yeah?
Yeah, sorry. He's got 6 Watchers at Fight 4. Sorry, yeah, he's got 12 in total, 12 models in total.
Yeah, the Abrakan Guard and the Watchers, yeah.
The Abrakan Guard.
So he's got a Fight 4 front line, basically. And then, all his heroes and stuff kicking around as well. Then he's got his 18 bow shots coming at you, which are poisoned to every running ones. He's got a banner in there. Now we said, why have you not got Suladan? And why have you not got the Betrayer? Like one of those, surely. And he was like, nah, no point.
Didn't need it.
Just pure models.
Can I hazard a guess at how this played? And you can tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah.
So the way I look at this list, I would picture him essentially sitting as far back on the board as possible, getting as many shots as possible off. And then when the enemy gets close to him, either because it's cavalry or they've marched up and they've managed to sort of weather the strength 2 bow fire, regardless of the 30 billion shots that he's got, out of a piece of terrain or out of hiding from the enemy bow shots, his Abrakan Guard and his Watchers of Kana just sort of clash into them. They're the ones that hit the flanks. He's got spears with a lot of his bowmen, so they get into the fray. So it's like a bit like a bit of a Venus flytrap. Come at me, and then I'll claw you.
Pretty much, yeah. Basically, so quick little things on him. He finished 3-1 as well, just like the last list. He only scored 14 VPs throughout the day.
Okay, that probably sounds like there was a lot of sitting back.
Yeah, and then he conceded 10, most of which were again in one game. Yeah, the one he lost. So you're pretty much immediately looking at that and going, yeah, you're spot on. Like, he didn't score high in most of his games, but he also didn't concede any points. So he won his first game, which was Caesar Prize. He won that 7-4. That was against the Assault on Helms Deep. Basically, he just shot at them an awful lot and got the thing.
Huh?
I didn't see much of that game, to be honest. I don't really know how it went. Let's
gloss over that. What next?
Yeah. Next was his loss, which was to the Mirkwood Rangers, because Mirkwood Rangers will outshoot you.
Outshoot him.
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm actually quite surprised because, like, with only defense 3, having that many shots back at them,
still winning on 5s.
Still winning on 5s, and the elves are winning on 5s, but hitting more often.
Wound each other on 5s. You've got 25 elf bow shots. So you got 25 shots that hit on 3s, or 18 shots.
The numbers of models in general. Yeah,
but
not all of them are shooting. And if you target the shots, the Harad shots first, then they've got to come towards you, and then you just shoot at them. So if they play the waiting game,
and this is on to the death.
Yeah, they come at you with half their army. They have to. It suddenly makes this sort of shooty list come at you, at which point you're perhaps not most.
And then you look at things like the Watch the Kana, which you can move on 4s.
Yeah,
because they're already defense 3. And what he was doing is he used a Taskmaster quite a lot throughout the event. What he was doing was calling heroic shoots quite a lot.
Okay.
And then going for the 4-up 3 heroic shoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really smart to get the shoot off first, and hopefully you get that off against the elves. You might be able to take a few of those shots out before.
The problem with the elves is they've all got elven cloaks.
See.
Then he played against the Pits of Doggledore, which you mentioned earlier. He played that game was on camera, so I won't go over too much, but it was a 2-0 win to the Harad. So yeah, he shot them a lot, and then they died.
Must have just got shot to pieces, hadn't
they got shredded.
Yeah.
And then on hold ground, he got a 3-0 win, where he basically just had more models than the opponent on the table on the objective in the middle. That was against, there he is. Who is he? That was against the Ministerial list. I watched this one as well. I watched a little bit of that because he basically marched right up onto the middle and then sat there and held it until the game ended, and he just had enough dudes there. It's basically all it came down to.
But we talked about this, didn't we, on the video? When you've got that many models, and it's a tactic we've seen you play, Tom, you get onto the objective and you die on the objective and you win the game that one.
Yeah, when I use my Goblin Town, I basically just go, right, I'm here. You've got to get me off it somehow, because even if you kill me, I'm still going to have more than you here.
Yeah.
Because even at 50%, he had more models than the Ministry of List started with.
Yeah. And you're going to have killed a few as you die. You know, you're
basically
always going to.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how that one went. Loads of bodies, loads of shooting. We eat humble pie.
Yeah, definitely.
Turns out that's the strategy. And the only reason he really lost that to the death was because the Mirkwood Rangers managed to get wounds on the leader of the Harad, which is why he lost in the end, because that meant he really did have to come at him.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he could sit there and go, well, we'll just shoot each other for an hour and a half and no one's going to break anyone or take a draw.
Yeah.
But until the Mirkwood Rangers have to come towards him in a little bit. And yeah.
That's the only problem I have with shooty lists, is it just can be very boring.
Oh, it's real boring.
Just sitting there shooting.
Yeah.
For hours.
I took Faramir's Rangers to an event
Yeah.
once, and I was bored, and my opponent was bored, and we all wanted to go home. And I think because I was bored, you stop trying to win as well. I was like, I want to do something that's more. I want to do something that's fun. So I just started like throwing them around, and it's like, this isn't how you win this with this list.
And then they die.
Yeah, and then they die. But yeah, no, it's really strong. I think he's bringing something similar to another event soon, so that'll be good for him to see. I mean, I still think Suladan's good, but you know, he doesn't. For the way this list plays, he doesn't need him.
Yeah, and I think Ross is right.
Yeah,
he's gone for a certain play. It's worked for him in 3 out.
Yeah, I think
games.
he had a plan. He executed it, and he did really well with it. I think that's the thing. We just didn't have the ingenuity to come up with that tactic, you know.
But it comes down to what we were saying at the start. You have one list. You know exactly what you want to do with it, and you're going to do that well. And
I think the only game Suladan would have improved his score is that last one, where perhaps he might have been able to do a little bit more killing of his own with if he had Suladan, that banner, etc.
Yeah, pretty much. Because you wouldn't have thrown Suladan into Mirkwood Rangers, who just got dead.
Yeah, you'd have hidden him. You'd have absolutely hidden him.
So he won all the games that he won without Suladan, and the one that he lost wouldn't have been helped by Suladan. So, you know, yeah. However, the betrayer might help.
You, Ross. Well done.
Exactly. Good job, Ross. We love you.
Yeah.
Love you, boo. Cool. So, who came third in the end? Well then. What a lovely list this was, eh? So, Daniel Peacock, a good friend of ours, friend of the channel. You've seen him lots and lots before. He brought his Arnor list. Zahir, you're busy painting, aren't you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, go on, mate. Yeah.
Give me a sec.
All right, okay. While you're giving you a sec,
There we
Daniel won Best Painted for his army at the event. He's got a beautiful little display board for it. You can see some pictures of that over on Standpath Miniatures, which is Daniel's Instagram. He is open for commissions if anyone wants to do that. And
definitely, I would say do it. His painting is beautiful.
He also won Most Sporting as well, and then came third.
Surprise.
So what a day! I think you've both played him.
Yeah.
Yep. I've played him twice.
Lovely guy.
Yeah.
So absolutely deserving of Most Sporting. His army's beautiful. Great guy.
And we're sorry for telling everyone how to beat it in the last video.
I actually think it didn't make too much difference because looking at the whole list of tournaments, there aren't many that had transfixes and immobilizes. There was one Angmar list. And a list that had does Radagast have immobilize?
I believe so.
I've never played.
I believe so, based on what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
I think. So yeah. We did tell everyone how to beat it. Really sorry, Daniel. This was also the first event.
Sorry?
Radagast does have immobilize.
Yeah. Okay, so there was a Radagast in the tournament, and then there was Barrow-wights and the Witch King in another list.
Yes.
So 2 out of 18 lists could do what we said.
Yeah. So this is Daniel's first event that he was trying to compete at. Normally he goes on just for fun. So he came to LGT just for a laugh, basically. But this was his first trying to win game, and he also went 3-1. If we're paying attention, Ross had a VP diff of 4 and Benjamin had a VP diff of 2, which was their kind of tiebreaker. Daniel won some games quite comprehensively. So he had 19 VPs and only conceded 8 throughout the entire tournament. So
really, really good.
He had a diff of 11, so he's a comfortable third place there. He said, I believe, that Arthur Dewey didn't get wounded once.
Yeah, he said
Right,
that. He lost the plate.
And he only got broken once throughout the entire day.
Because they're courage, so you really don't want them to break.
Yeah. But he's got.
I mean, if Arthur Dewey's not dying, it doesn't matter if they break because they're not going anywhere.
No.
Yeah.
And he's a hero of legend as well. So.
No, he's hero of valor, but he's got that 6-inch fearless bubble.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Zahir, do you want to talk us through his list quickly?
So he had Arthur Dewey, last king of Arnor, as his leader. Then he had 4 rangers of Arnor with spear. Had 8 warriors of Arnor and a warrior of Arnor with a banner. And then he had a captain of Arnor with a shield, 4 rangers with spear, and 5 warriors with shield. Then he had Malbeth the Seer with 3 rangers and 7 warriors of Arnor.
Did those rangers also have spears?
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
and warriors?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought
mean,
every single model he had a spear.
Yeah, I think they
yeah.
don't have the option, do they? They automatically come with it, don't
Oh,
they?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they do.
Unless you give them a banner. They've got to swap their,
Yes.
spear and shield, haven't they, for a banner?
So side note in that is that they are all original metal models in this as well.
Yeah.
So it did cost him an arm and a leg. Because
Has
they
he
are.
painted up any of the ones that he bought off me yet?
Yes.
Lovely.
Yes,
Can't wait to see him.
So yeah, really nice looking army. Really nicely played army. We've played it a couple of times. Well, played it once on the channel against the Angmar, so that's up there if you want to go find it. Cool. His first game was against Ewan and his Rivendell Knights on Seize the Prize. So this was Daniel's only loss of the event.
Yeah. Which is hot.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing to. No, I'm telling a lie. This isn't Ewan. It wasn't Ewan and Rivendell Knights. Completely ignore everything I'm saying. His first game was against Chris Evans and his Mirkwood list, which also had, so he had Thranduil and some Mirkwood elves. He had Radagast and he had a Great Eagle. So Chris Evans watched our video.
Of course he did.
And Chris Evans immobilized Malware to see because and I was standing near them and I just heard the phrase, so Malware's rules active, right? And I just went, Daniel, I'm so sorry. What this game came down to?
This year, are you?
What?
You're not going to be on his Christmas card list, are you?
I better be. This game essentially came down to Daniel moved up and secured the relic. The Great Eagle came in the side of him, got some really nice hurls off down the lines of things, just absolutely chucking bodies around. Raddy sat back and immobilized Malbeth and immobilized Arthur Dewey. And Frandy got into dudes. Daniel did a really good job of keeping Thranduil into like one or two dudes at a time. So he didn't get his kind of knife hunter special triple blade, whatever it is, attack, blade master, blade mistress, whatever, I don't know. Blade lord.
Got there eventually.
Yeah, that's the one. So he was trying to new to that. Daniel said afterwards he completely forgot, but he could have just passed the relic on to someone else because it was stuck on a warrior rather than Arthur Dewey. And it kind of got bunched up in the middle. And then eventually they got through to the relic holder, killed him, stole a relic, and the game ended pretty much bang on then, which was really unfortunate. If he'd remembered he could pass the relic off, he probably would have won. So
and I think that's something that people forget a lot in Seize the Prize, that you can pass the relic on, because like just leaving it on a normal warrior is just pointless. You might as well stick it onto your main hero and just hope they don't die.
Some people, even at like the London Grand Tournament, get really surprised that you can pass a relic on, don't they, Curtis?
Yeah, I've had someone ask me to show them the rule.
Yeah. You what? You can do that. The other thing you can do, if you didn't know, is you can be compelled to drop the relic. Because that also came up. The Witch King compelled an Urukai to drop the relic. Which was a bit of a like, oh, you can do that? Okay. But yes, you can. So yeah, that was his first loss was against the that list, which eventually went on. So a lovely time. At the event, it didn't do hugely well, I don't believe. No. I'm telling you, absolute codswallop. By the way, it was the Rivendell Knights, but he lost to.
Like, based on the video that you went up last night,
Yeah.
I thought he lost the Rivendell Knights.
He did, yeah. Yeah.
Killed the relic. They didn't realise that then the guy dismounted from his horse, picked it up. You all said, oh, we could have just, he would have got it in combat. And Daniel was like, oh, well,
I just completely, balls that up. Yeah.
Fabricated story.
Because I got to the end of that and went, hang on, Chris lost the event. How did he win?
Daniel did play Chris, but not
he played Chris in the
game.
Next round. Yeah, absolutely. So what I just described was the next game, which is to the death, and there was no relic involved anywhere. So the first game was against you and his Rivendell Knights. The Rivendell Knights got into him. They, killed some stuff and killed the relic, but he didn't realize he could just grab the relic, so he dropped off to pick it up. That's what happened. I remember now. We talked about it in the last video. So sorry for wasting everyone's time for the last 5 minutes.
I didn't want to question you because I was like, Tom was there.
I could see in your face as well. You were like, that's wrong.
Yeah, I was like, the Rivendell Knights sounded
He just wanted you to dig a bigger hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely
didn't
stop
need to dismount either. I remember thinking when I watched the video, because he's expert rider, right? In Rivendell
yeah,
Knights?
he's expert rider, so you can pick it up, can't he?
No.
Yeah. But either way, the Rivendell Knights won that game.
No, because you've got to dig it up in this scenario.
So
it had already been.
It was already picked up.
Oh yeah. No,
yeah, it had already been dug up.
Yeah.
I think that might have been Lee's fault. I think Lee told him he couldn't. I heard Lee saying he couldn't anyway at one point. But yeah.
Is that your go-to thing to blame Lee?
Yes.
He did volunteer to be the second.
Yeah, Lee was by because there's 2 floors in the building we're in. So I couldn't be. So Lee was there for quick questions. But yeah, which was nice of him. Bless him. So yeah, sorry, Rivendell Knights, absolutely. Yeah, he should have been able to pick it up. But that first game Sunday morning, wasn't it? Second off, he played against Chris and his thingies, which happened. How that happens?
Are you sure, Tom?
Radagast was like immobilize. And the eagle was hurling stuff, and then eventually he trapped the eagle and killed it. And yeah, basically he won that 9-0 because it's to the death, and you either win by a lot or lose by a lot. Then he played against the Mirkwood Rangers on Breakthrough, which we've already mentioned briefly how that game went. But yeah, the Mirkwood Rangers sat back, tried to shoot him off. He left people on all the objectives and then just came up. So he got his 5 points for being on the 2 middle ones and the back one.
And I think that's a really good matchup for Daniel. If you think about it, if obviously you can't just go into that game and assume you're going to win, because the Mirkwood could shoot you in the right places and then sort of pick you off, charge your flanks, and you're going for more objectives than you can reach. But if you're smart about it, you choose your objectives that you want to defend, thinking, right, that'll give me the point advantage. Defend them, force the Mirkwood lot onto you because they need to contest those.
Yeah.
And then you've got your 5-up save. So when you're losing fights, don't worry. Be patient and wait for those dice to not happen for the Mirkwood elves, which they will. There's no banner there. They don't have many models.
They're wounding on 6s, and then you've got your 5-up save. So
exactly.
You're pretty resilient.
So it's not they're not killing many of you, and they can't sit back and shoot forever because you'll still have the objectives. And I think in Breakthrough, as long as you've got one guy there, if they don't have any, 4 points. Happy
days. So yeah, he got 5 points on that from the 2 middle and the back one. Basically, that's pretty much all that happened in that. He went forward, he used his captain to march, and got there, and they had a little slugfest. I do think he got broken, which ended the game, which good. We got 2 points, but
what he wanted, I imagine.
Yeah. And then round 4, he was playing against the Riders of Fiefdoms on hold ground. So you look at that on paper and already go, yeah, it's fairly, yeah, cool. You've got like 30 something models. He's got 15 or so. It's a pretty solid thing. And then I walked in while they like just finished deploying, and all of the Arnor army was sat in one clump, and all of the Riders of Fiefdoms was spread out all over the table. And I was like, Maelstrom has happened. And yeah, he just all of Arnor exactly where they want to be, all in one place, all together, all in that Malbeth bubble. Riders of Fiefdoms a bit spread out. He's new to the game. Daniel did explain to him he can use the might and stuff to get his dudes where he needed to be. He used it a little bit.
Daniel would tell them that.
Yeah, Daniel definitely did. But he still ends up quite spread out. Just how it works.
I don't think it's an easy decision. Obviously, if you, especially when you want heroic combats in that Fiefdoms list, when you want to make sure you can call heroic moves when you need them, you do think twice about spending the might on the Maelstrom, because you think I'm horses, I can just run away. So it's not an easy decision to make. So
and also you can redeploy very easily with Cav.
Yes,
you can get everything where you need very easily.
I think the overall story of this game was that the Riders of Fiefdoms danced around the Arnor quite a lot, peppered them with bow fire and throwing spears, and then eventually charged in to try and kick them off that central. I believe he left it 1, maybe 2 turns too late, because he charged in, called death, killed about a third of Daniel's army in 1 turn.
Yeah,
but it's 1 turn too late.
Yeah,
bless him, and he didn't quite get it through.
Yeah. Didn't Daniel say he got like so many saves, like a third of his?
He saved loads of stuff with Malbeth as well, and that's why Malbeth's so key to this list.
And Malbeth is almost like the anti-death, right? Because they're all calling heroic combats to try and kill off as much as your army in that 1 turn, like almost break you in a turn. And if you got dead and he goes in against 2 lads, he's like, I'll safely kill both of these because I'm knocking them down. And he causes 2 wounds, 1 to each of them, and Malbeth saves them both. And or he saves one of them. Doesn't he?
Saves one of them, stops the heroic combat.
Heroic combat ends.
And then so this list is Theoden, Dern, Helm, and Beowine as well. So he's got 3 hero combats from Beowine too. So there's all the three heroics going on. And he just couldn't get them to go off, like say with Malbeth and stuff. And it's just this game more than anything else really proved the Malbeth worth, I believe.
Yeah.
And the last game didn't really have an answer unless they can get the charge of Malbeth.
Basically
it would have been an interesting one on breakthrough, that matchup, because Arnor needs to start thinking about spreading out, and maybe Rohan can play about there, but it's
you can't defend both flanks then, can you?
Well played to Daniel. He's learning the list really well. Sounds like he's absolutely nailed that Arnor. And looking at it, you asked us before the video, like, think about what you might change in the list to improve it. Apart from maybe dropping a few spears on the Rangers to add an extra guy, I don't think there is anything you can change. I think Daniel's got a pretty solid list here.
I don't think there are enough spears in there to get an extra dude unless you drop every single spear.
All of them. Unless you drop
I think that's the only sort of flexibility you've got, is dropping every single spear on all the Rangers. I think frees up maybe 9 points. Well, he's got 11, hasn't he? So 11 points. That's still only 1 dude. Keep a few spears.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if you do keep them isolated and then, they do decide to pick them off, at least you can only lose half the models rather than all of the models by being charged.
An alternative as well is maybe thinking about dropping a ranger or a guy to throw in a hobbit warhorn. Well, maybe a couple of guys, just in case you lose Arvidui. He never did, so it wasn't an issue, and he was always able to stay together. But maybe some scenarios, like a Maelstrom that goes badly, where you need a bit of courage buff if there's a Harbinger around or something.
That's what he does for slightly higher points. Yeah. Right. As soon as you go up a few more points, he chucks the warhorn in. Yeah. But like you see, because you drop the numbers, and you have to give up almost, I think it's 4 dudes almost for the warhorn. It's a lot to give up. Because then you start tinkering your bow limits as well, and things like that.
when I played him
start
at
to lose.
555, he had the Warhorn, and I think
Yes.
he was. I had Harbinger of Evil, so if he was outside of his bubble, he was really struggling to charge my Black Numenor in front line and my Nazgul, and I managed to shoot the Warhorn really early on with trackers, and I don't think that happens every game. But that would have been super handy in that later game when he was having to sort of pull guys off and they were outside of the army.
Yeah, I think for him it's just getting reps in with that list. It's a really, really solid list, and it doesn't go down easily, which is one of the things we've been talking about as well. Is like a list that doesn't give up VPs. So you can see that it's got a strong leader in Arvidui who's got strikes and might for days. Then you've got Malbeth keeping him alive. And they're all defense 6. So it's like a fight 4, defense 6 wall with a 5-up, you don't die save. And then a strong striking leader. So it's got everything you need to kind of just not give up VPs. And that's came through the event. He only gave up 8 VPs on the whole event. Like that's very impressive.
Yeah.
And congratulations to here. You backed him, so you're the first one to score points in our predictions.
Yeah, well, I always believed in him.
I went with my head over my heart, and I ended up.
Always Dan's always in my heart.
If I was like going with my heart, I'd have picked Daniel to win the whole thing. To be honest, and I said that.
Basically, what you're doing is you're diminishing my choice because I supported my mate.
Yeah. Next up, we were right-ish. So defenders of Helm's Deep, Jack Canavan off of Cardiff.
We gushed over this, didn't we?
Oh, honestly, so nice. So he went 3-1. So 3 wins and a draw he had. So the first place and second place both had 3 wins and a draw. No surprise who the draw was to each other.
Yeah.
So it all came down to, again, this VP differential. Jack scored 31 and conceded 12, where first place scored 37 VPs over the tournament and only conceded 7.
Yeah, he's averaging 9 and a bit VPs per game there.
He got 2 big 12-0 wins. So yeah. The defenders
again, we should be surprised 2-1, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So this comes out again, he's conceded 12 VPs, which still isn't very many, but it is more than most of the other top 5. So there's that.
Yep. I imagine he lost his leader more than other people.
I expect so. He also
Theoden, with 1 fate, 2 attacks, fight 5. Oh, he's fight 6 around Haleth, but he's not the most survivable of heroes, especially on foot.
He certainly got wounded.
Yeah,
a fair bit. Let them broken. So just quickly the list then. So we've got Theoden on foot with a shield. He's got Haleth, who's the one who gets a 3-point and might. He makes everyone else go up and fight within 6 inches of him. If Haleth is in combat. Yeah, as long as Haleth is in combat. He's got 5 Royal Guard of Throwing Spear. He's got 10 Warriors of Rohan with Shield and Throwing Spear. He's got one of them has got a banner. He's got Haldir. He's got 5 Warriors with Shield and Throwing Spear, Warriors of Rohan it is. And he's got 7 Galathrim Warriors with Bow and Spear. So every single model, except for Theoden, has a ranged weapon of some sort. And there are an awful lot of them.
Yeah.
We said it in the previous video. We really loved the range. The choice of the 2 heroes for the style that he was going for, I think was really smart, and it also allowed him to maximize his numbers by not going for too many of the spenny heroes like Aragorn, etc.
Yeah. Absolutely. For anyone who doesn't know, the defenders of Helm's Deep get like an extra 6-inch range on their shooting, but only the bows, not with the throwing spears.
And that's only if they don't move as well.
Yeah, only if they don't move. So he's got 7 Galathrim bows that can shoot 30 inches. So they're hitting on 3s at strength 3 from 30 inches away. They will outshoot pretty much anyone. Then you've got Haldir in there as well with his twin shot, who's also shooting 30 inches. you've got 5 warriors, 15 warriors of throwing spear, and 5 royal guard of throwing spear. So 20 throwing spears if you get too close. Halef giving them the fight increase. The Galafrim giving everyone fight 5 from the back rank with the spears. These guys can use their throwing spears as spears as well. So you can have Royal Guard or Galafrim behind. It's giving everyone kind of fight 4 or fight 5. Oh, it's just, I do like it. I'd like it a lot. And I'm not sure how much I would even consider changing in here.
I know, Zahir, you talked about potentially swapping Halder out for Legolas just to get that
No,
extra
but
shot.
that's, for me, that's 5 5 5.
Okay.
For war, I am taking that list because it just looks so spicy. But yeah, with Legolas, just because you've got that 2-up auto hit, you know, at 30 inches, you could just take out, you know, the leader's horse, the leader's, you know, banner, you know, straight away, you know, and that could just be extra. Or you just take your 3 shots with Legolas, so you've got those 3 shots in one hero. It's just, I think he's for me, when I've played him in other armies, he's always been my MVP. So, you know, you always want to take him if I can.
He's one of those models that you do want to just chuck into lists.
Yeah.
He's your perfect anti-hero. And Halder is just like a budget version of him.
Yeah.
So he's got his 2 shots. Is Halder 3 might?
Yeah.
3 might.
Yeah. So you got your 2 shots on 3s with 3 might behind them. So you're still pretty much saying, you know, Suladan, your horse is gone.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what happens, you're doing that anyway. Legolas just slightly better.
Yeah.
And then you got Halef in there just for, he's got that 1 point of might. You can give the fight buffs. We love Halef with gambling, but obviously gambling's really expensive. So for this points level, you can't really pull that off. And basically.
I think it's really strong. And going for Halder as well, when you get into combat, he counts as being within a range of a banner when he's within, is it 6 inches of Theoden?
6 inches of Theoden, yeah.
6 inches of Theoden, yeah.
So I think that, thinking about that at 500 points as well, having Halder there, you know, that one banner is not going to be near everyone. So if you can get Halder with a banner up behind him as well, with that fight 6, 3 points of might.
Yeah.
Really well constructed.
So game by game, his first game was against the Assault on Helm's Deep Legendary Legion, which we put on the camera because it was themey. We liked that. He, and spoilers for that video, which should be going up later this week. He won that fairly resoundingly in the end, because he just outshot them basically. So he won that on 10-2. Just absolutely peppered him. I can't remember where the other guy picked up the 2 points from. It was on Caesar Prize, so it had to be either breaking or leader kill. Leader kill. Ballista to the face of Theoden would be interesting. I haven't watched it back yet, so I don't actually know. Then he went on to play Lee's Dwarf List on to the death. This was a bloody mess of a game. Basically, Lee marched, double marched all his might, but he had on his captain to march right up into the face of this legion because you don't want to let them shoot at you. So he just charged straight up. Jack potentially made a slight mistake in that he positioned between a forest and a hill. So he positioned himself like in a bottleneck, but actually Jack had way more numbers when it came to the fighting. So by the time he got there, Jack wanted to wrap around with his dudes, but he couldn't get round because he blocked himself in a little bit. So it almost played a little bit into Lee's advantage there. But this was the only time that Thror died, which is Lee's leader. So Jack, they killed Thror with a combination of kind of Theoden striking up and Thror having to use his might to do heroic moves to stop the throwing spears. And then the Rohan got broken in the end, eventually by the dwarfs. So the game ended on a 5-5, given to the death. Getting that broken and down to 25% is huge. But yeah, that was that game.
Not much to add there.
About 10-15 minutes into that game, they were in each other's faces, hitting each other, basically. It just went on and on for the entire time.
I
Just
think,
an absolute
I think he's done
slugfest.
well to pull the draw out in that one, because I would have felt if Lee's managed to, it sounds like Lee's played a really good game and he's managed to get into combat as soon as, I would have felt as soon as the dwarves were in combat, then, you know, they're gonna come out top. So the manager,
especially against Rohan.
yeah, the fact that he's managed to pull out the draw, well played.
It's the fight 5.
Yeah.
From the back line.
Yeah.
And then the fact that, so the Rohan had defense 5 with the shields. So the dwarfs need to piercing strike to get to that, to bring it down. Otherwise, yeah. So, and if you do piercing strike, then you win them easily. But yeah, that's what kicked it in, I think, for him in the combat phase, was that he had that fight 5, which kind of kept him going. But yeah, the dwarfs did eventually grind him down. They did eventually get the win, but he saw that Lee used a lot of his might with Thror to do the right moves, and then got him in there and brought him down, basically.
Strong.
So yeah, winning the draw, dropping him down a little bit, which is quite nice because you're going to get to play a couple of nicer games. Who did he play? We really easy because it's a unique score there. So he then played against, is that right? Did he play against Rivendell Knights next? Must have done. They're the only people with that scoreline. Cool. So he played against Rivendell Knights next, which is it's pretty rough for Rivendell Knights, to be honest, because that is
the amount of shots,
an army that is going to outshoot you.
Yeah. And even if it doesn't outshoot you at first, it'll eventually whittle you down, take you off your horses, and then you just, no man's land. 14 of you. You only had 14 models, the Rivendell Knights list.
14 models, yeah.
You know, you're against 9 30-inch elves who are going to take out those horses if they don't take out the guy. They're still wounding the guy on 5s, right? So
that was on breakthrough. So you could say the Rivendell Knights had an advantage from the ability side of things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You just sit your archers on the back objective, wouldn't you, and just pepper them if they come near you.
I think, you sit the archers at the back. They shoot at the objective that isn't being marched towards by your Rohan.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Especially with low numbers. If you had, like, say, for example, like Haradrim cavalry, which are a lot cheaper, and then you could take like spam of them or something.
Yeah,
that would be different.
And he's got front line in the Rohan of fight 5. If you can get Halleck in combat, fight 5. Roll guards.
Yeah.
They're even a charging knight with 2 attacks on the charge against potentially 2 people who are also spear supported by the throwing spears.
Yeah.
They're not always winning those combats.
No. And because, like I said earlier, they don't have the elven maid lances.
Yeah.
They're just a 50-50, isn't it? And you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But at 14 models, you can't afford to lose them, can you?
Yeah.
Bless him, you had a really rough couple of matchups, because you played against 2 fight 5 armies against his Rivendell Knights. Fight 5 armies that can outshoot him.
Yeah, that's tough.
Bless his
Poor
soul.
Guy.
He's a really young lad as well. Bless him. So yeah, he's still pretty green, and to get a couple of fight 5 like this that perfectly play against him must have sucked. But yeah,
but you learn, don't you? You learn a lot more from losing, I think. And
oh gosh, absolutely.
This was it was a really tight win in the end. It was only 6-5.
Oh, okay.
Because I think the Rivendell Knights managed to get one of the objectives off the side and things off of them. But yeah, so it was only 6-5, so it was really tight, and that was probably what killed it for him, was that nice tight game there. And they both came out looking like they'd had a battle. And then it went into round 4. Where he's playing against the final game. He was playing against the Ugluk Scouts on hold ground. the Ugly Scouts were pretty chipper going into that game because they love hold ground.
Yeah, they get to it quicker than anyone and hold it down it.
Unfortunately, though, if a big wall of Fight 5 gets the Ugly Scouts, Fight 5 with 20 bajillion throwing weapons, who, because you're scouts, they only wound them on 5s. They put a lot of hurt in. And he ended up getting a massive win on that, big 10-0 win.
The thing is, it's ridiculous. Like Rohan versus Isengard, you should always think Isengard should win, but somehow Rohan always manages to make it even, don't you?
Unless they're in a castle, you know.
Yeah.
Or borrowing some elf friends, you know.
I think in that matchup as well, you can let the Urukai and the Orcs get to the middle. You can shoot enough to make you think, right, well, I'll back me in combat, and then charge at them, so you don't end the game, don't kill too many.
Yeah.
And then he's got so many models in his list. If he's targeted his opponent's shots in the first place, then
one good turn then of charging in, throwing all your throwing spears in, and just punching a hole right in the gut,
and then end the game that way. Bring your whole army in at the same time.
I don't know if anyone watched the Mirkwood Rangers Shire game that we put up on the thing, but it's pretty much what I did with the Mirkwood Rangers. I sat there and a shot, and then eventually I jumped in, heroic combated in with a Legolas and Tariel, and just got my elves onto the middle, and won that way.
Get them to a place where the game doesn't end, but you back yourself in a fight, and then go in.
Chuck it in. Big 10-0 win to finish it off for him. So really cemented that second place. Really well done all round from Jack. Which brings us on to our winner. And that's all the time we have. So thank you and goodbye. Nah, joking. This was Lee Robbins. You've seen him about 50 bajillion times on the channel.
He is your partner in crime, isn't he?
I cannot get rid of the kids, yeah. So Lee brought his Army of Thror that you will have seen several times on the channel before, except not this one, because this is a fresh new Army of Thror list. Gorgeous. It's so blue. It's so blue. There's a whole bunch of pictures up on our Facebook of it and stuff as well, so have a look on there and our Insta. But yeah, I reckon I can probably do this off the top of my head, you know. He's got Thror as his leader. He's got, is it 14 or 13 Guardians of King? 13 Guardians of King. He's got 3 warriors with spear and 1 without.
Yep.
All of which have got shield. That's warriors of Erebor. Then he's got a captain with shields and a full warband of 12 warriors of Erebor with shield and spear.
Yeah, well done.
I've played against it so many times.
But we also said, in there before the tournament, it's quite a vanilla list. You know, it's quite clean. You know, it's clearly intended to stick around for a long time and survive.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think you have to have a lot of experience. You have to be a very good player to get the best out of that list. Yes. It is very simple.
So I think you're right in the sense you've got to be a very experienced player to win a tournament with that list.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a good list for a beginner to take on and not come last in a tournament.
Yeah. We joke about with it as it's basically playing on easy mode because you just don't die.
Yeah.
Like you can do whatever you want. You can make whatever mistake you want. You just don't die. The reason there's 1 warrior of Erebor in there for anyone who's wondering who doesn't have a spear is just because you just don't have that 1 point.
Yeah.
That would be 5 at 1 points and you just don't have it. The Grim Hammers get Burly, I believe, when they go to Guardians of King.
Fight 4. No, strength 4, sorry.
Yeah, strength 4, is it? Yeah, strength 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Halfguard will go Burly. Yes, it's strength 4 that they get. So they're absolute weapons, and then they can piercing strike and got strength 5, which is gross. Yeah. Basically, there's got a bunch of throwing axes in there. Because all of the Guardians have throwing axes.
Yep. So you've got 13 throwing weapons in a list that has 26.
And they're throwing axes.
29 models.
Are they special throwing axes?
I don't know.
No.
6-inch range. Shouldn't be. Just
Just cracking little throwing weapons. Yeah. And He never actually kills anything with them when he plays against me, but apparently he did a lot of things today in the tournament. And Thror's a big banner, isn't he? He's a 12-inch banner.
Yes, the
So
army bonus,
6 inch either side, yeah.
The army bonus makes him a 6-inch banner.
Yeah, 6 inch either side. So that's why there's the banner in the list, because he didn't need it, because he's got Thror. So we were talking about VP diffs and stuff earlier. So I'll say it again. He scored 37 VPs out of a maximum of 4. Like, if you win every game 12-0, you get 48. So he's dropped 9 VPs.
Yeah.
No, 11. 11.
Absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. Do better next time, Lee. And he only conceded throughout the day 7 VPs, and 5 of which were in that draw to Jack.
That's just amazing.
Which is mad.
And that means 5 of the 37 he scored were in that game. So 32 over 3 games is absolutely enormous.
Yeah, it's the same.
He's only dropped 4 VPs in the games that he's won.
Yeah. And to the death is banner points.
Yes.
So that's the points he dropped.
Yeah, and he didn't have a banner. Yeah, he didn't have a banner.
That's your points right there.
Yeah.
Everything else he's got maxed out on. It's just not having a banner.
Yeah.
Which, care. So this is basically we glossed over it a bit when we did it before, because I've certainly seen it 50 million times from Lee, because it's just really, really, really solid. I think it's probably the best way to describe it, and he'll say the same. There's no frills, there's no spills. It is just, here are 30 something or dwarfs.
Yeah,
that you can't shift. Kill. Yeah, you just really struggle to kill him.
Yeah.
So
and he's picking his fights so well, right? Because he's either he goes the front line of the Grimhammers with the spears supporting them, or even if he wants to split the spears off, he can choose whether he supports or just sends a solo guy into shield, and knows that shielding guy probably is not dying because
No.
And then what he started doing as well quite a lot with the, that's his Iron Hills, don't worry about that. So this list, which you look at and go, that's a fair, dwarfs are a fairly elite warrior, and they've got a couple, Thror's a decent hero. It's got the 5th highest model count in this tournament.
Really good, that. Really.
And bear in mind, there's a Shire list and a Harad list that's just hoarding out.
Yeah.
So, and then the other 2 above him are scout lists,
which don't get big heroes, and he's got 4.
Yeah. So it's just an insane amount of numbers, basically, and that's all it is. It's just, you can't shift this amount of bodies because they're all super tanky and fight for defense 8. Enjoy that.
He said in one of his games, when he had to march up against, it was against defenders of Helms Deep, he lost 5 guys. And when I first heard that, I thought, that'd be so annoying, 5 guys. That could be so important to him. But actually, his numbers meant that I'm quite pleased that it was only 5, because he's got redundancy in there. He's got enough spare guys to fill those gaps. So when he hits combat, he still backs himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so one of the best things about this with the not conceding points is you've got Thror, who's got the Arkenstone.
Yeah.
So he passes his fate on a 3-up.
Yeah, and then 4-up.
And on a 4-up, he gets his fate back.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. So good. So for everyone else, fate like everyone else, but if he does it like everyone else, he keeps the fate. But if he can still save the wound on a 3. So
I have had Thror get trapped by the Goblin King, Golem, and a bat swarm in behind it, and Thror has not taken a single wound.
Yeah, I can.
And it's infuriating.
So if you roll fate sequentially, if you say get 6 wounds on him,
and he rolls 6 4-ups,
so you roll the first dice, it's a 4-up. You can then roll another dice, right?
Yeah.
You can roll that same dice again on, pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's so good.
Just roll it again, roll it again.
Normally you'd be like, oh, Aragorn, he got 3 fate, 6 wounds on him, he's dead. Nothing you can do about that. But with this guy, It's like nah. Let's see how many fate he's actually got.
I believe, I could be wrong. It doesn't say natural either.
So you can might it up and keep fate.
You always keep the might in your back pocket.
Yeah. So how many fate does he have to begin with? Is it one?
One, just one. So you always keep at least one might with him to the end of the game, because he goes down the 3 up, like his fate's on a 3. So the chance of you getting like a 1, fine, whatever. But on a 2 up, you can just might it up to save him.
But also, you take 2 wounds. You're on your last wound, and you roll a 3 up to a 4, and then you've got a chance of saving it again.
Yeah. Or if you roll a 2, you can still might up to a 3. Yeah. You've still not lost a wound.
So the only time that didn't work out for him was against the defenders of Helm's Deep, where he had to use that might to do the moves to stop all those throwing weapons.
It's a good spot from the defenders of Helm's Deep list to think, right, here's my opportunity to get leader points here.
Yeah.
Because he's out of might. It's a bit like similar to, I think Lee was talking about his game against King Elisar, where he was like, right, let's drain King Elisar of his might. And I wonder if Thor is another similar hero where you're like, right, let's get the might off of him. Then it's vulnerable.
Now, when I play against it, that's what I do every time. I target that might. I'm going to bait him into heroic moves. I'm going to bait him into strikes where he doesn't really want to. He doesn't really care about strikes. And I think he's learnt that from me as well. There's times where you just go, actually, you know what? I'm not going to bother striking. You're not going to kill me. What are you going to do?
I'll let you spend that might to strike and then not wound me.
I'm defense 9. Come at me.
Yeah, defense 9. So heroes are what, wounding him on 6 and 4s?
6x4s. Strength 4 is 6x4.
And then you're saving those wounds on a 3+.
Yeah, it's so infuriating, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, oftentimes I either try and drain that might off him, or just completely ignore Thror.
Yeah, he's got a good protection against that might bait though, because he's got the Ring of Durin, right? So he can reroll.
He's got the Ring of Durin for the moves,
but
so
it's
he
not
can
a
reroll
perfect
priority.
counter. It's not like the Foresight points or the Palantir or Azov rule. It's just
a single per game reroll priority.
Yeah.
But there are times
you rolled a 1 and they rolled a 2.
That can be important though, can't it? That one turn where, just like with Azog, that one turn we really need it, just being able to say, "Oh, I'm just going to re-roll that because I really messed up."
And he has gotten so much better at using that as the time's gone on.
Yeah.
I
think
you can use it to draw might out in that situation where you roll 1, they roll a 2.
Yeah.
Right, where you thought your priority. No, I'm going to make you spend that might.
He does it an awful lot against like Cavalists and things where you just go, now I've got to use the correct move that I thought I'd go free. And he was using it against Aragorn. So to force Aragorn.
Yeah.
Aragorn was on his horse and he had a couple of knights in his turf in that list, and he wanted to get the charges off. So you're like, well, Ring of Durin, I've got priority now. Call your heroic move, mate.
Use free might, and then you have to use your store for anything else.
We have talked about most of these games already, but let's quickly. So his game 1 was against the Khazad Doom list, which was Durin.
He's got lucky here with the draw for Seize the Prize. Probably his one weakness going into the tournament is Seize the Prize.
So the reason he's built this list with a captain rather than like a young Dwalin or someone is so that he can have the march for Seize the Prize and other such things. He's playing a Khazad Doom guy. The Khazad Doom player was not very experienced at all. I mean, he was a literal child. Bless him. But he's played quite a few games still. He's still come to the event. So it ended up Lee marched up, and once he got the relic, that was pretty much it. Because again, you're not getting the relic off. Yep. He managed to get the relic off the table somehow.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
With 5-inch moving dwarves, that's impressive.
Absolutely no idea how it happened. I didn't sit and watch that game because I was upstairs for most of that. But fair play, basically. So that was a massive 12-0 win. Then he had to draw with Defenders of Helm's Deep. We've just spoken about it. He marched up. Thror eventually went down to striking Theoden and people, but he got the broken and the 25%. His third game was on Breakthrough, and that was what was that against? Who was that against? That one.
I don't remember.
Oh, Ministeriff, LSR.
Ah, yes, this
Obviously,
is
yes.
him draining the might out of
Yes.
Aragorn.
They deployed there and there, and just went like that a lot, basically. In the end, yeah, he drained the might of Aragorn by calling for moves to get his throwing weapons and stop him from doing getting his charge bonuses. He was throwing forward. He just went, "I'm going to strike. I'm going to strike. I'm going to strike."
Yeah, forced to strike back. I think this is deployment is great there to be able to get in his face. Because then he can use the captain's might for those moves rather than the marches, meaning Thror can use it for the strikes and his potential fate rolls.
Yeah.
So, yeah, smart from Lee.
Yeah, basically, and just kind of ground it out in the middle there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I might have been tempted if I was using LSR here to ignore Thror at the start of the game.
Yeah.
And go into the warriors, because LSR is what's going to cause a dent in those dwarfs, and he will kill dwarfs.
Yeah. I'm surprised the LSR player didn't sort of start perhaps further back from the line, so he could potentially use his superior move with the knights and LSR to hit a flank and not get caught in that line battle, because the dwarves just won't die in that line battle.
Lee said the same thing. LSR got deployed. LSR's warband went it first, and it went on the front line, and he went, "All right, cool, game."
Yeah.
Basically, at that point. So I lied. It wasn't the banner points he lost onto the death. It was on breakthrough where he didn't get to that last objective.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine he killed the banner in the
Yes.
Yeah. He's good.
Yeah. So yeah, he is. Yeah, he picks his targets, goes for him. So he killed LSR. He broke him. Had the middle objectives. No, he didn't have one of the middle objectives. Because Jay's got 2 points in that. So yeah, just ground out that win, which put him into the final game against Ben Meredith Davis's Fiefdoms. And we've spoken about that game already. Basically, he deployed in a way that he came on in a way that he could use the terrain to stop the Black Veil Archers from shooting at him.
I heard he cheated with the terrain on this one though.
By accident.
Yeah. So at lunchtime, I asked everyone to leave their armies on the table to be voted for the best painted. Somebody moved the train on his table slightly to put his army out, and then forgot to put it back. So there was a hill towards the middle, kind of blocking a whole, like there's a big part of the board that's just blocked off, which shouldn't have happened. That's partly on me for not going around and checking, and partly on him for being a toilet and moving it. If you go into the vent, don't move the train, and if you do, put it back. Basically, don't be that guy. But yeah, so he ended up having like a nice wall to kind of shoot from, to stop himself from being shot at, march up, and then they really did just have a slugfest in the middle. And it came down to the fact that Ben basically just couldn't hurt the dwarfs. He's only got strength 3. There was a really nicely placed piece of difficult terrain that his knights were struggling to get round as well, because he bottlenecked himself. And yeah, it was just really long ground out.
Strength 2 from the Black Veil Archers, I imagine, just really struggles to do damage, even if you're re-rolling wounds.
It doesn't. I've killed plenty of Iron Hills dwarfs with Black Veil Archers.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Strength 2 both still somehow managed to destroy dwarves.
But I imagine, are they Erebor defense 7 or defense 8?
Well, you're still winning on 6s.
On defense 7, you're wounding on 6 and 4s with strength 2.
Defense 7 and 6s, strength 8 is 6 and 4s, isn't it?
No, strength 3 on 8.
Oh yeah, 7 is 6 by 4s. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's just 6 by 4s. But you're re-rolling all of those, so you're rolling a 6 and a 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd still kill a couple of Iron Hills a turn.
Yeah, I suppose with the re-rolling, once you've got your 6, but you re-roll to get it,
It's,
get the 4, it's quite
what is
hard.
it, 11 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s, so you're looking at probably 8 or 9 hits. So you're going to get one kind of 6 by 4 out of that, and then the re-rolls, so you'll spike up to 2 or 3 sometimes, but you'll average 1. So yeah. But it also meant they were cut off, and then as they came round, again, Lee's played my Fiefdoms a couple of times. He went, hang on, those Black Root Vale aren't very good. And he peeled a little section of his army off and went and killed the Black Root Vale. They're fight free, they're low courage, and they're only defense 4.
Yeah.
They're the only things in the army that are fight free. And Imri Hill was over here somewhere, and the Black Root Vale were over there. And he went, cool, I'll go get him. And he did drop them in 1 or 2 turns, and then came back.
I've noticed that with Fiefdoms. We talked up a lot of Imri Hill, how good he is in that list, and me and Zahir firmly believe that you need him in Fiefdoms list. If you don't have if you've got warriors in your Fiefdoms list that aren't anywhere near Imri Hill, they are vulnerable, and I've experienced that firsthand. Capitalizing on it, and
see what I've done at tournaments past is done this to my advantage, where I know that my warbands are such that if I lose a few guys and then let my Black Root Vale die, the rest of my army is still alive, but I'm broken. The game can end. And I do that quite a lot, where I've been known to just throw the Black Root Vale in, and people go, "Oh, you've committed with them. Cool, I'll go kill them." And I go, "Excellent, kill them, please."
Yeah, kill them while on the objective.
Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing that you can do with them. But basically, the Dwarfs just ground it out. So fair play to Lee.
Well done, Lee.
Yeah, well done.
No one put him in the top 3, so we all get a point for the Defenders of Helm's Deep. We all put that in our top 3, and then Zahir, of course, you got the extra point for backing the Arnor list.
Yeah, of course.
I think if I was picking based on just the human beings that I know quite well, I'd have probably gone with Lee, Daniel, and Ross to be in my top 3, just from like experience of them, and like having seen the list that they were bringing. Ross threw a bit of a curveball out because I've never actually seen him use Harad before, which is quite fun. But Lee has used that army to death. Like, he's so good with it. He's absolutely nails on.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And that's what I would say to anyone wanting to go to tournaments like next year. Find an army that you enjoy, put a banging paint job on them, and then learn how to use them.
Yeah.
You will lose a lot the first time you use it. And then eventually you'll be good with it and you'll start winning.
Yeah.
Even people such as your top end GBHL players, like Ali King, for example, he took Federate's Guard for the first time to a GBHL 80 and lost a couple of games of it, one of which was to Lee.
You're so proud of that.
He's so proud of it. He doesn't stop talking about it. Bless him. He's a little.
No, I say
fanboy.
you're
It's
so
kinda
proud
cute.
of him for that.
Yeah, but I also wish he'd stop talking about it. And then he went on to then win like 2 or 3 GBHL 100s with that same army because he took it once, found the weaknesses in it, fixed them, played again, won. And Lee used that Army of Thror several times. I beat him the first few times he used it, and I kind of exposed some holes in it. He worked out how to play around those holes, and we talked through how to win some scenarios of it that he wouldn't normally win. And then he went to his first GBHL event and stuck it in 5th place, I think it is. Just from that.
I always echo what Nathan Talbot said on the GBHL. Someone asked, about how do you go building a list, and he said first pick which models you think are cool, and then you add a few models to fill up the list. And to me, I think the game is in such a good place that you can do that. And like you say, you get enough experience with that list, you can do well.
I don't think there's an army that's terrible. There might be a couple that are slightly weaker, but if you
Ruffians, I would back Ruffians to lose most games. But apart from that,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I suppose they get the numbers, don't they?
There's some scenarios, having used Goblin Town extensively, there are some scenarios where just having pure bodies on the table. So here we'll test.
If Ruffians get themselves a Goblin King, then maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Having Grinner, the Goblin King, and Gollum just makes Goblin Town so much better.
Grinner is the best one in the game. Fight me.
Yeah. Yeah, just saying, you know what I'm going to do? Oh, you just charge your big hero into the Goblin King. Heroic the swap with me. Oh, now you're just facing Grinner. and he's got no might. Oh well.
And your swap would be on the shoot phase, and then in the combat phase you do a heroic strike. Surprise!
Yeah.
Every time. Grinner has taken on Imrahil's, Aragorn Elisar's, all kinds of massive heroes for me. Gwai here, Durin, like he's an absolute unit. I love him.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a complete side.
It sounds like
it
sounds like an absolutely cracking event that you've set up there, Tom. Though, bit jealous that I wasn't there. Getting a bit like Zahir said, a bit of FOMO looking at the pictures.
I know.
If you want to get your own FOMO, more pictures, Facebook, Instagram. I've got more pictures coming soon. Don't worry.
And watch the battle reports.
Watch the battle reports. They're going to go soon. I'm going to start getting up. Obviously, I've got to check through them because I wasn't sat watching them, so I don't know like what was said at any point or anything. So I've just got to double check them all. And also, I turned the cameras on and then left the players to it. So there are some games where I think the cameras were on for about 10 minutes before I actually started doing anything because I just turned it on and then went back to the rest of the event. So I do a little bit of editing on that. But yeah, other than that, there'll be just the entire game, top-down view like we often do. 2 players playing a tournament game. We didn't ask them to play anything special. I wanted it to be as natural as possible. So I just left the camera and left the room and said, crack on. There'll be a bit of background noise from the other tables, especially the second 2 games we put up because they were, so the way this venue was built, there's one large room on one floor, which had a small room off to the side, which is where we filmed the second 2 games. But it's also got a top floor, which has several small rooms, and we filmed the first 2 games up on the top floor in a single room. So the second 2 games have the noise from the big room. But, you know, it'll be all right. But yeah, keep an eye out for those. We've got the Pizza Dog with Dora popping up on there. The Mirkwood Rangers are popping up on there. Assault on Helms Deep. And yeah, I didn't put it on the top table purely because I didn't want to put that extra pressure on players. I might do it at a future event where we're looking at it. There's a stage in the building, so I can set it up slightly away from everyone else, and I can put some lights on it and stuff. And I think that might be quite cool. But again, I don't know if that's going to be a bit much first, like for the top table. So I might keep it to like a mid-table because the mid-table games are still good players playing well. So it's good to watch. But yeah, if you do see anything that happens in those games, do comment on it and let us know, and I'll feed it back to the players. But ultimately, it kind of happened, so there's not much we could do about it now. But yeah, do let us know. And yeah, thanks for sticking with us. I think we might have gone on for quite a while here, but that's not unlike us, is it? Really?
No. You'd expect that.
Yeah. Just Zahir, what have you been painting while we've been talking?
My Pizza Doggle door. Yeah, painting my Gundabad and my Hunter Orcs at the moment. So I'm just doing the flesh on the Hunter Orcs and my Gundabad banner, which has just got the first few first base coats on. So nothing
nice
fancy,
lighting there.
but
nice one, man.
No, but yeah, just got a paint. So.
If you're going to use them, please adopt the correct terminology for referring to Gunda lads, which is that you've got Gunda lads, Gunda bats, Gunda banners, Gunda zerkers, or mad Gunda lads, depending on who you are. But yes, you do not have Gundabad warriors, you have Gunda lads. Thank you very much.
Noted.
Nothing annoys anyone more at a table than like, I'm going to put this Gunda lad and this Gunda bad. Like they love it. It's great fun, honest.
Oh, I think I'm going to do it. Call them the correct name just to wind you up.
And it will. Cool.
Call them by their full name, the Gundabad Warriors with shield and spear.
Every time you talk about them.
Every time.
Yeah, that will get old quickly. Yeah. Lovely. Well, yeah. Look out for our event in January. Look out for Curtis's event in London. Which is when?
It's on the 11th of December, so tickets have sold out. But if you are interested in getting involved, get yourself on the reserve list because no doubt there will be some churn. But yeah, 11th of December, Income Gardens are really easy to get to. on the tube. So
And if you live in London, hit these lads up, and they're nice people, I promise.
we play quite regularly Mondays, Wednesdays. So hit us up with the
And Curtis, you're on like the West London, and no, Curtis is on
I'm
East,
East London.
so here's West, yeah,
Yeah.
That's, I do
everything's
not live in
central,
London.
though. Everything's central.
It shows.
Yeah, I try to avoid it at all times. But yeah, it's too scary. I live on a farm in the middle of nowhere. That's true. So yeah, cool. Thanks for sticking with us. Zahir's hopefully going to provide us with some cool terrain for the next one as well. So if you want to check some of that out, do that. If you want to provide me with some terrain for the next one, hit me up, and I will put pictures of it everywhere, I promise, and tell everyone how lovely your terrain is. And yeah, thanks for sticking around. Hopefully we'll see you next time, or don't. I don't know.
To quote Lee, make sure to hit that bell.
Oh yeah, make sure you hit that bell. I don't know. Can someone show me where the bell is at some point, please? Wait, is it there?
I don't know.
No, I think it's on your profile, isn't it?
Down here.
Honestly, I don't know. I've never seen a bell on YouTube. I do not know where it is. But that's why I keep going on about, because I'm old and don't know how to work YouTube. So, but yeah,
We're the same age as us, mate. That's not that's not allowed.
I lived in the woods for many years. I don't know technology.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Hang on.